My dear listeners, the topic that I have chosen here, and this is the 5-lecture series. It's a very vast topic, yet very, very important topic. I have time constraints, so I will try to tailor it in such a way that all the foundational principles are enunciated, illustrated. A full semester course is needed for this kind of topic. We will pick up only few basic themes, which are the foundational doctrines in this whole field, comparing, contrasting through few words which are important. My dear listeners, as a journey or Tirth Yatra together, you, I, and other prominent players, living and non-living, through the landscapes of the foundational ideas, political, religious, or Rājadharmic, defining and establishing the civilizations with their own ethos. Let us make this journey together, up and down, through crests and valleys of the wisdom traditions, comparing, contrasting, and learning. And I can assure you one thing, I have been contemplating and meditating all these kind of topics from ancient Vedic wisdom traditions, Western traditions, and many other traditions of the world for the last 40 years during my journey in America through various institutions of academic higher studies where I've been teaching, researching. And this is my duty to tell you and share something with you that I do a lot of reading, a lot of digesting, a lot of yogic meditation on the sabdarth, the word and the meaning and the journey of those ideas as they progress over the period of hundreds and thousands of years. And I can assure you, I will do my best with full commitment, full sincerity, and my own dharma as a, what you call the Vakta-Dharma. And I would certainly request with all of you with my folded hands, please remain fully focused with open eyes and mind, without any preconceived biases. Let us make this journey a Tirth Yatra, a pilgrimage together. This is my humble request to be aware of. There are a lot of misunderstanding, confusion, delusions, conflict. Mental frustrations are too common due to much of the original Yogadharma technical Sanskrit terminology is non-translatable into one-to-one English language terminology. Unavailability of equivalent cognitive, emotional, conceptual entities from one civilization ethos to another civilization ethos. Lots of popular books, other mediums of communication have also contributed to corruption, pollution, and uprooting of Vedic wisdom traditions. These lectures are going to be provocative, challenging, and aimed at dismantling the ignorance and popular false narratives. I will try to follow my best with the conviction Sattva Meva Jayati. Truth alone is victorious. And I offer my humble apology for any mispronouncement or mistaken references along the way. This is the brief syllabus for these 5 sessions. We'll discuss briefly original meaning of the Western notion of the secularism, which became a civilizational iconic idea throughout the Western civilization, and how did it get translated and implemented in contemporary several democracies, liberal democracies around the world. So we'll give one example in detail: American founding of the principle separation of church and state, which is one of the sources of Indian secularism. Then we will look at the Indian Constitution dilemma, adopted doctrine of secularism, how this doctrine has been adopted, what it means within the Indian Constitution, and understanding from the point of view Indian civilization. India, that is Bharat, what it means, which is one of the founding statement in the Indian Constitution, in the preamble. This is a civilizational dilemma. Then we will discuss sources of misunderstanding and dark ignorance and their detrimental impact on the Bharati self-identity. And then I'm going to discuss new concepts and ideas necessary to replace the colonial mindset-driven narratives. Rājadharmic, Rājadharmic, Rajniti, and then finally concluding thoughts. So I will request every one of you to be present in all the sessions, bring other members, your family and friends. You do not have to go through hundreds of books and periodicals. I have crystallized and I have been discussing throughout these lectures some of the very best thinkers, how they have looked at it, what are the issues involved, what can be done, what cannot be done. And so I will be focusing on some critical concept expressed through certain technical terms. One of them is secularism. Why this topic? My answer: at this juncture of world geopolitical turmoil, this topic hits directly at the foundational grounds for the civilizational identities and ethos with a burning question: can they endure? Especially the most ancient yet continuously living civilization of Bharat, that is India, and that of the Western world. I intend to focus on important paradigms, political/religious world of the foundational idea and their pragmatic manifestation. Next question. Why should we be concerned about India or Bharat as we have been living here? Our children and grandchildren are born here, educated here, and working here in the USA. My answer is it's a very legitimate question. But for a powerful and meaningful answer, you have to wait till we finish this journey involving this course and the following one, finishing one in December 2025. This course and following course will answer some of the most fundamental questions being raised, and also how do we see the land of Bharat and land of America from fresh perspectives, from fresh viewpoints, and how we can contribute through thoughts, actions, a framework for better world. Let's look at the what do I mean by Western civilization ethos? Sources of foundational ideas and corresponding actions. They start with the ancient Greek world, Plato, Aristotle, other thinkers. Their Roman world, rise and fall of Roman Republic and later Roman Empire. Roman Catholic Church, Christian Empire. Jewish world, Jerusalem. Birth of Renaissance, separation between this world and heavenly world. That's the first separation happened. Brutal, bloody, and violent wars between Catholic and Protestant or Lutheran Christianity in 16th, 17th, 18th century. French and German Romanticism and idealism. French Revolution. Age of Enlightenment or region against age of faith. British imperial and colonial powers. Marxism and Leninism, totalitarian ideologies. American Revolution and establishment of United States of America. First and Second World War. These are the iconic ideological and conceptual events that I can name are the principal Western civilization ethos. India, that is Bharat, ancient world of Ramayana, Mahabharata, world of various Nit Shastras, world of kings and kingdoms after Mahabharata times, world of Vedas, world of various Dharmic traditions, Islamic invasions, British colonialism, freedom movement, Congress rule after 1947, and contemporary rule. These are some of the landmarks that one can use to define the India that is Bharati civilizational ethos. I'm using India that is Bharat, that phrase appears in the preamble of the Constitution of India. What is the Bharat Rashtra? गायन्ति देवा किल गीत कानी धन्यास्तु ते भारत भूमि भागे स्वर्गा पवर्गा पदमार्ग भूते भवन्ति भूया पुरुषा स्वरत्वात्. The land Bharat Bhumi where even divinities, gods and goddesses, wish to be born and go through the process of living and making new karmas, new karmic fields, and finally getting the moksha, emancipation or salvation. So this is what even this prayer comes from the Vishnu Puran, where the divine entities are offering the prayers. This is the real Bharat Rashtra, originated from the female divine deities Mahi, Aditi, Saraswati, and Bharati. Question now we can ask at this juncture: what the Rashtriya Charitra and identity do we really have in India? Here, two quotations. One from Will Durant, the great British historian, and one coming out of my body. India is the motherland of our race, and Sanskrit the mother of Europe's languages. She was the mother of our philosophy, mother through the Arabs and much of our mathematics, mother through the Buddha of the ideas embodied in Christianity, mother through the village community of self-government and democracy, much, much older than the Western concept of the self-government and democracy. Mother India is in many ways the mother of us all. My comment, based on critical observations that I have been doing for the last 70 years of my life, out of which 45 years in United States of America. I had the opportunity to live in both the worlds, critically examine the ideas and wonders and beauties and what I call the decay and demise of the great traditions, values, morals. I call the contemporary India a wounded civilization moving potentially to meet its own demise. And the same India remained politically, socially, intellectually, and mentally slave and colonized. And the same India remained plunged into deep darkness of ajnana, ignorance. The same India lost the glory of her motherhood. And the same India that is Bharat now is at the crossroad of civilizational death or potentiality of renaissance, of achieving even the greater glory. Let's look at the secularism or pseudo-secularism. Secular or secularity, originally a Latin word seculum, which means belonging to generation, belonging to an age, denoting a period of about 100 years, living tradition of the world at the time. The term secularism was first used by British writer George Holyoake in 1851, promoting a social order separate from religion. That's first seeds of separation. Secularism is also belief system, wall of separation between religion and state, is called also anti-clericalism, atheism, naturalism, communism, humanism. It has several kind of notions, and these notions denoted through isms. A very vast field. It's a civilizational field of existence. And violent history of secularism, horror of 30-year war, 1680 to 48, between Protestant religions and Catholic religions. Control of the states by Christian church, state the secular arm of the church, and worldly affairs, individual society, salvation, full control of the church. So church was under full control during if you go back to Roman period, Roman church. Late 18th and 19th century, rise of enlightenment took place in the Western Europe, and declaring death of God. That's where the real separation start taking place. There are many manifestations of secularism: political secularism, cultural secularism, intellectual secularism. Tirthyartha versus tourism is a cultural secularism. Tirthyartha is a pilgrimage, which is a dharmic tradition. Tourism is a secularist tradition. Itihas is a dharmic tradition. History is a secularist tradition. These are the Western mode of synonyms for the secular term: civil, materialistic, worldly, lay, profane, temporal, earthly, denoting attitude, activities, or other things that have no religious or spiritual basis. Please note, complete and rigid separation between the worldliness and divinity, between this world and the other world, between this world and heavens, within the Western modes of thinking. Very important, this separation. These two terms have been very important: secular versus religion. I have not defined the term religions or Judeo-Christian religion or Abrahamic traditions yet, or Indian Dharmic traditions yet. We will do as we go along in the following lectures. Let us look at as an example. This separation has been going on for a long time, and of course one of the most classical examples is that of French Revolution, where the complete separation took place. Separation between church and state. And why I am using this as an example? Because this is one of the primary sources of Indian secularism, which was implanted onto the Indian Constitution, but without defining it. Let's go through this first. What the genesis of American founding of the principle of the separation. In ancient notion of Western world, religious pluralism or religious toleration did not exist. Priests were also public officials, and there was no distinction between church and state. In fact, in ancient Greece, there used to be only city-states with their own gods, goddesses, and governments. To defeat another state in war means defeating its gods. An example from the Old Testament, Hebrew Bible. You shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire, and yes, shall hew down the graven image of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. This was the directive of the God of Old Testament. These ideas were carried out later on by most violently by Islamic traditions. In some conceptual understanding and the doctrines, they are much closer. The Islamic tradition much closer to original Abrahamic or Hebrew Bible tradition. The enemies were heretics who had to be destroyed because they worshiped false gods. The ancient leaders with the political authority came directly from God, with no distinction between religious and civic obligation. The king used to be holding both these primary responsibilities of religion and politics. 12th century confrontation in England. This was between King Henry II and Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket. Thomas Becket refused to submit to king's authority over the church. Question came up, could church be independent of the king? That was the first time very prominent question was raised. The king rejected any distinction between the political and religious authority. His authority came directly from God, so separation was impossible. The king was the highest authority to deal with both the political and religious matters. And actually, in the Roman Catholicism, you'll find out each and every aspect of human life, social, moral, political, ethical, was directly governed by the Roman Catholic Church. And those who did not follow their guidelines and rules will be subjected to severe punishment, and they were called heresies. The solution? The kings could oversee political and worldly affairs. That's the church could have sovereignty in a spiritual, ecclesiastical realm. Let us go back to Roman Republic. Julius Caesar brought an end of republic to establish the Roman Empire, universal city. Christianity, the official regional empire in 380, was introduced by Emperor Theodosius. That became the official religion of the empire. One regime, one God, one law, and the emperor, the total authority. Then, collapse of Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. Results of this collapse gave rise to three dilemmas. First, one God, but separation of civil and religious authority. dual alliance to the king and to the pope. First dilemma. Second, what is the source of political authority? King has authority directly from the god. That was the accepted understanding of the Western world at the time. King descendants can exercise that authority. So, one generation after another, that authority will be exercised by the king descendant. But if the heirs are unqualified, so who will be the king? That question was raised, talked about, and that led to what we call civil wars. Third dilemma. In Christianity, centuries of bloody, brutal conflict between Catholics and Protestants on the matter of doctrines. It's the 16th, 17th century when Martin Luther objected the doctrines prevalent at that time of Catholic Church, including indulgences. It means give money to the church, they will give you certificate just to go to heaven. And that conflict between Catholics and Protestant Christianity was very brutal, very bloody, continue and still continues in hidden forms. Please note, the interreligious conflict throughout the European states were the norms, not the exceptions. Heresies, those who may not be aware of what you mean by heresies, is a punishable action, even death through crucifixion or burning, etc. What it means, adherence to religious opinion contrary to church dogma. They were accused of heresy. Denial of a revealed truth by a baptized member of Roman Catholic Church. An opinion or doctrine contrary to church dogma, that will be heresy. A dissent or deviation from a dominant theory, opinion, or practice. To disagree with the party leadership was heresy. An opinion, doctrine, or practice contrary to truth or to generally accepted beliefs and standards. So if you go against the established dogma of the Christian churches of all kinds of denominations, then you may be declared as a heretic, and correspondingly you may be punished. Dogma means a statement or body of a statement concerning faith or morals proclaimed by a church. For example, Catholic dogma of bodily assumption of the Virgin Mary. Jesus of Nazareth was born of Virgin Mary. This is one of the dogmas of the Catholic Church. You cannot go against it. Christian Church investigated for centuries other religions such as Gnosticism, Arianism, many others, declared them to be errors and false and stamped them out. Then another impact was the French Revolution. King Louis XVI. How did the French Revolution have an impact on the world? One of the most brutal and cruel among the European wars was the French Revolution. And its outcome had a great impact on the American founding. It influenced the development of democratic institutions worldwide and laid the groundwork for modern concepts, civil liberties, civil rights, and civil liberties. In France, it remains a symbol of nations' commitment to individual freedom, human dignity, and justice. And its values are enshrined in the preamble of the current French Constitution. And these are the values which have been also looked at it and then brought in some of the ideas in the American document of Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. American founding. Primary question faced by the America's founders, especially George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. They were the first 4 presidents as well. How to forge and shape a new country. Same question came up in 1947 after India got freedom from British colonial rule. India, that is Bharat. Can you believe that? We could not even figure it out. What should be name of the new country? That country was just a small comment. India did not get the independence. It got freedom from the colonial rule. The entire system, political system, was as it is, with minor changes, has been taken over by brown sahibs. So how to forge a shape a new country? First, the founders throw out all the British colonial ideas, practices, and norms. Then learn from the French Revolution the political ideas. They went back all the way to their forefathers from the Greeks and Romans to learn. For example, Iliad, Plutarch's lives, works of Xenophon, Epicurus, Aristotle, Cato, Cicero. And they went back to one of the most prominent political philosophers, John Locke. He was a Scottish philosopher of eminence. They went back to learn how to forge a new country from their own worldly, Western worldly experiences. All they go back to Greeks and Roman world. The Indian framers of the Constitution did that? Did they do it? Question mark, and we will talk about as we progress in the future lessons, comparing and contrasting between 2 sets of approaches on the question how to forge and shape a new country. Declaration of Independence. 2 important concepts. Not the Abrahamic, the God from Abrahamic traditions, but laws of nature and nature's God. Nature's God and laws of nature. These were the 2 founding ideas. Combination of human reason and divine revelation. Divine revelation means how the God has created the nature, the natural world, nature's God, not the Christian God or Jewish God or Islamic God. Then another important idea, laws of nature and nature's God are fixed and unchanging. It's a question mark if you refer to the actual experiences of the world, the Western world or non-Western world. To serve as the ground for political authority and supply everyday law with the sacred and transcendental authority. Look at the preamble. There are two preambles, two documents. Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. 1776 preamble. Behold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed with their creator, by their creator, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This is the preamble. Remember, please note two important ideas here. All men are created equal. This may be very misleading statement because this does not include women, blacks, Indian Americans, and other non-whites. Women's right to vote, 19th Amendment in 1920. See the period between 1776 and 1920. Blacks got Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965. Most confusing, discriminating, logical, conceptual, religious, political dilemma, debate to how to frame two highly loaded words. Creator versus whose and which God, and created equal versus born equal, or to be accepted to be equal. All these ideas were discussed at length with various fractions of the Constitutional Convention at the time. It was a very heated debate. What should be used? The very terms, the shabd, words became so important. Jefferson had a hard time. Should be used the created equal, or should be used born equal, or should be accepted to be equal? What should be used? They never use the word God, they use creator. To satisfy all the denomination and infight and rivalries between several denominations of the Christian tradition. Understanding of slaves and slavery and race relationships, the most crucial dilemma and conflicts remain unresolved and still continue to be so. Please note, are human beings created equal? An unresolved paradox. Utmost importance of key linguistic terms with their entire field of meanings. And I call them these linguistic words, technical terms. They have their own lives, birth, living period, transformation, and death. Those who do not see and or do not want to see it can be characterized as willfully blind and or in deep darkness. The kind of language we use in the religious world, in the political world, in every field of knowledge contemplative we have, they have their own technical terminology and own meanings and fields of meanings. If we do not understand them, we are going to create pollution and corruption in those ideas. Even the usual communication, social communication, you can figure that out. And lot of confusion, conflict appear due to use, improper use or misuse or fundamentally incorrect use of these terms and ideas. We have to be careful. Lesson we had to learn. We have to be very careful what to speak, how to speak, what technical words we had to use to express the ideas, opinions in all fields of human experiences. Declaration of Independence. This is the preamble of the Constitution. I'm comparing those. Be the people of United States in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain the establish the Constitution for the United States of America. And these two preambles, we do not have specifically mentioning of establishment of religion or not establishment of religion or separation of state versus religion. We do not have those ideas at all. And this preamble of the Constitution, be the people of the United States, be the people, do not include the women, Indian American, and blacks. Very, very important. It was introduced the concept of establishment of religion or non-First Amendment, basing his views on the established clause of the First Amendment, which said that there should be no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's the First Amendment done to deal with this religion versus secularism. Jefferson stated there must be a wall of separation between religions and state. And this idea, wall, these few words here, wall of separation between religions and state, became the iconic statement of the American founding experience. Wall of separation between religion and state. Made by Thomas Jefferson. This strong statement does not exist within the Constitution. Then why did Mr. Jefferson, a prominent personality, the writer of the Declaration of Independence, made such a statement of great importance that has impacted so many US Supreme Court decisions? The reason behind it, given here. He was deist. He did not believe in the God of Judeo-Christian tradition, the way it has been defined and understood. And he makes this statement here. Millions of innocent men, women, children since the introduction of Christianity has been burnt, tortured, fined, imprisoned, and molested. And yet we have not advanced 1 inch towards humanity. What has been the effect of coercion? To make one half of the world fools and other half hypocrites, to support error and roguery all over the earth. That was the impression. He was reading the Bible, he was making his non-notes. He started with Christianity, then became a really non-authentic Christian. After, that's the statement. Based on that understanding of Jefferson, he made this statement: you must keep wall of separation between religions and state. And this separation of church and state, it derived from the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. The modern interpretation of this doctrine was articulated in the landmark Supreme Court case, Everson versus Board of Education, 1947. Writing for the majority, Justice Hugo Black invoked Thomas Jefferson's famous phrase describing the Establishment Clause as erecting a wall of separation between church and state. Justice Black emphasized this wall must remain high and impregnable, meaning that the government, whether federal or state, must not. It was defined now in 1947 with full force by the Supreme Court. Before that, it was in doldrums. It was not properly defined and understood. Establish what it means. Establish, support a church, aid one religion or religions, coerce individual to attain or avoid religious services, or punish individual based on their religious beliefs or practices. Must not be involved. The state, central, federal, or state cannot be doing these four things. This interpretation set a precedent for broad reading of the Establishment Clause, influencing later cases concerning religious liberty, government funding of religious institutions, and public religious expression. This separation did not take place from within the Declaration of Independence document or the Constitution. It was categorically defined, forcefully defined by Supreme Court in this particular case in 1947. Look at this 1776 versus 1947. The duration elapsed. So those who think out of ignorance, deep, dark ignorance, those who think that these ideas were already there within the framer's mind and they implemented those ideas at the inception of this great country. This is a great, serious error that must be corrected in our minds. I stop over here with invocation period. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvanavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvasavahai, Om Santi Santi Santi, Hari Om. Let us together be protected. Let us together be nourished. Let us together join our mental forces and strength for the benefits of humanity. Let our efforts at learning be luminous and filled with joy and endowed with the force of purpose. Let us never be poisoned with the seeds of hatred for anyone. Let there be peace and serenity among us. It's a joint prayers of all the humanity, for all the humanity, for all the countries, for all the states. Thank you so much. I ask for your forgiveness, and also I am asking for your blessing. Now, my dear listeners, you have been so wonderful, so beautiful. Please give me blessing and get ready for few question answers session. And I think Piyush will monitor those for us. Thank you so much.
If anyone has any question, please unmute and can ask. Please unmute yourself and जी गिदारी जी.
Namaste, Shivaji. Most stimulating to hear from you, and you've given a very, very good preamble to what you're going to say. I was struck by one line, and I want to repeat it, and hope that you will deal with that in future. And you said that you saw India as a wounded civilization moving potentially to meet its own demise. And that's a very, very upsetting and pessimistic statement. And I hope that you will deal with that in future, because we are looking forward to exploring potential solutions that could take India onto its righteous path.
You are very, very right, sir. You have caught rightly, and I have intentionally put that word over there, potentiality of that. And I'm going to define later on how, and it will be really more of a really what you call point of sambad later on, when I define how to define Hindu Rashtra, how it has been defined, Hindu civilization. How do you define Bharat versus India? So I am really holding on to answer that question. But it's a very important observation and very important question. And I intentionally made that statement so that some of you will definitely catch that statement, and then we can elaborate and discuss about what it means, whether there is a potentiality. Also, underneath, I said, yes, we are in the crossroads that we can become and again regain our enlightening position in the world as a Bharati civilization, not as Indian civilization, but Bharati civilization. And I will distinguish between those two. Thank you so much to bringing to attention to all. Thank you so much.
सोमनाथ जी.
Namaste, namaste.
Somnath ji, namaste. I cannot see you, my dear. Okay, namaste, namaste, namaste.
शिव जी, मैंने चैट में एक बिब्लिकल स्क्रिप्चर पेस्ट करा है. To my way of thinking, even though internally within their societies, the West might have implemented the Treaty of Rhine-Westphalia to separate the temporal power from the spiritual power, their external foreign policy is guided by this particular scripture. And it is enshrined in Article 18 of the UN Universal Charter of Human Rights, which says that, people are free to change their religion. Now, that freedom to change their religion can be under coercion or, argument or persuasion, under force, under duress. It doesn't specify all that. But a key challenge to our Bharatiya Mool is from the fact that this is the art under which their missionary projects operate inside Bharatvarsh. And of course, from the Islamic world, we have the Darul Harb to the Darul Islam strategy. So we have to defend against those and proclaim the universality of our Bharatiya values. So I wanted to encourage you to comment on these.
Yes, I think it's a really a great comment, and I have in mind to discuss this particular aspect with when I introduced the idea Sarva Dharma Sambhav. That particular idea I'm going to analyze in detail. How did it lead to what you call the phenomenon of conversion? Conversion, the idea of conversion discussed at length by various participants in the constitutional debate. I'm going to bring that out, and actually what you call the UN Charter, actually exactly this is without defining under what conditions, under what aspects, social, religious, political aspect, the conversion can be accepted or not accepted in UN Charter is not being defined. So as you said, and this is really what he called the hidden cleverness. It's hidden cleverness that really created a lot of problems around the world in various countries which have their own civilizational ethos.
बहुत अच्छे शिव जी. And I just don't mean to be pessimistic because I know you were being provocative with your caption and the title, but I see a lot of hopes in the worldwide because इस बार मैंने प्रधानमंत्री के भ्रमण में देखा घाना में सनातनी दिखे, साउथ अमेरिका में सनातनी दिखे, यूएस में सनातनी दिखते हैं जो भारतीय मूल के नहीं हैं.
Yeah.
तो इससे बड़ी these are signs of hope that the political destiny of this experiment called democracy called India, which is the Greeks' name for Bharat, has a different arc and trajectory than what it means to be a part of Bharatiya civilization. My personal view is India is a land of maqbaras and masjids in a 40 square kilometer area called New Delhi, जहां पर बहुत अच्छे चबूतरे हैं और इमाम ये सब है and विदेशियों के लिए बहुत अच्छी चीज है, पर it has got nothing to do with the story of Bharat.
I fully agree with you. It has nothing to do with the story of Bharat. It has everything to do with the story of India. That's why they kept to India. Have you ever come across any reputed, any proper documentation of the from the different preambles of the constitution of different country where they cannot even define what this country is, what the name of the country should be? Do you see? This is the
Yes.
Can you believe that? This is
we will leave it for future discussion.
We will discuss these things for India versus Bharat. What happened? Why did it happen? Briefly, important. Why? And I personally think, if I want to make one statement, I'll make, we did not get the independence in 47. It was simply a transfer of power from white Sahib to brown Sahib. That's why the two terms are there, Indian.
It is basically हम लोग ब्रिटिश कॉलोनियल ऑफिस चला करती थी लंदन में, वहां पर भारत नाम या इंडिया नाम की एक फाइल थी. वो फाइल लंदन से चलाए के बिना दिल्ली ट्रांसफर कर दी गई और उसकी पॉलिटिकल ऑटोनॉमी ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट से इस वाले पार्लियामेंट को दे दी. तो आपके पास पॉलिटिकल ऑटोनॉमी है पर यू डोंट हैव स्वराज्य.
No, you don't have. Even the constitution, actually most of the constitution, I will give you the actual quotations and ideas of some of the brilliant thinkers at the time when they were part of the constitutional committee, that how come we 1853 the document was really adopted in our constitution.
बहुत अच्छे शिव जी, बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे सुन के. मेरा तो पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट रहता है 19th सेंचुरी हिंदू समाज का कैसे विभाजन किया गया अंडर द आर्ट ऑफ प्रोग्रेसिविज्म, क्योंकि एनीवे ये मेरा पर्सनल हॉबी है, मैं लोगों का टाइम खराब नहीं करना चाहता.
We will continue our discussion. We will continue our discussion.
Thank you. It
so
was
much.
very, very meaningful. Thank you. I hope a lot of people can join and understand the situation. Thank you.
Any other question?
One request, each one should bring one at least next week, so that would be better.
Yeah, there are some shared comments here.
जी,
I think we can
जी.
read.
Ji, one question from Chiranji. what do you think the present day India, where India moving since 2014?
Please,
Chiranjeev.
can you repeat the question? I cannot see you, sir.
The one question from Chiranjeev, what do you think about the present day India and where India moving since 2014?
Yes, I think I will say contemporary situation in India is that is going through great polarization process between different ideas and parties and vested interest. The educational reform has been insignificant for last, even after 1947. We did not introduce our own system of education, including the content. We really, if I want to make one statement, contemporary India at the crossroad, which way to go. I deal with and interact with a lot of academic world. There's a vacuum. We do not have what we call the national debates on the key issues where and how India could go forward. So that's why recently, actually, one of the RSS leaders raised this question of the during emergency, the introduction of socialism and the what you call secularism. These must be removed. They must be looked at under contemporary situation, political situation. And a lot of uproar. See, the problem is we do not sit down nationally together to talk about these ideas, how to deal with them, where do we want to go in future, where the country must lead in future. So these kind of discussions on national level, thoughtfully, sincerely, rather than, there's no sambad, simply, argumentation, and that most of the argumentation is really not argumentation at all, but abusing each other, blaming each other, all those kind of things go on. This is very unfortunate, which is very sad state of affairs. And I want to really request every one of you, look at from the situation in India and future of India. Look at from a holistic, totality point of view. Not all the political maneuvering, but other fields of human experiences have to be looked at under the contemporary political structure. How they are being impacted positively or negatively, how this should be going forward this way or that way. These bigger questions have to be discussed if you want to really care about the rebirth or renaissance of Bharati civilization. From the models and ideas from within the ancient traditions. Not blindly borrowing from anywhere else. You can borrow because those ideas may also appear in other locations, other, the country, but blindly borrowing those ideas which do not really work within the Indian civilization cannot be accepted.
Meghaji, please mute yourself.
Namaste, sir. It was really
yes, namaste ji, namaste. Thank you so much.
it was really a very great session. My question is just related to education. That do you really think that this education system, I mean current education system, is provoking the terminology of secularism? And what are the steps to evacuate?
That's a good question. I'll give you one example how this is
Yeah.
being imposed on our ways of life and thinking. If you look at the political discourse, you will see all over the places you will find by leaders or by print media, left versus right. You are on the left or you are on the right on the spectrum of the political discourse. Where the left-right term come from? We simply borrowed from French Revolution. The left and right term were coined during the French Revolution. These were on the left or these were on the right. Right where the traditionalists want to carry the same old tradition without any changes. Left were those who want to rebel against all the ancient world. See, and we are just simply carrying those kind of, connotation, understanding, and, the samba, what you call argumentation based on those words. This is again colonial mentality. They have to be thrown out. No, there's no place. Second, you might have seen one more thing. You observe yourself. You can observe more than I can. From common man to all the way to the prime minister or the president and the what you call the judiciary, legislation, you do not hear the word Rājadharmic. You hear the word Rājadharmic. No matter how much lying you are doing, how much anti-social, anti-India comments you are making, with no basis on facts and truth, they still call this, you are doing Rajniti. Now, you are not doing Rajniti, you are doing Rajaniti. You are doing Rājadharma, not Rajniti. The very term Aniti and Adharma have disappeared from our vocabulary. Can you believe that?
Okay.
This is very, very strange to me. It's very shocking, actually. It's very damaging to me. No matter how much you do, nonsense, how much nonsense you do, how much nonsense you talk about it, without caring about the facts, without caring about the truth, no matter how much abuses and how much, the gali-galoj you do to each other, and still you say you are doing Rajniti. No, you are not doing Rajniti. You are doing Rakshas Niti. These proper terminology has to be brought in.
It's Kutniti, sir. It's Kutniti.
Yeah. Better word. Yeah.
So you're very much right. We have so much. This is all called cultural colonialism. When we borrow the technical terms and we started defining the technical terms, and from the tradition, which they have different meaning and purpose altogether, and you just graft on the Indian educational system and Indian dialogues and discourses, that's really what you call corruption, pollution, and uprooting of the different ways of human thinking. So we are really impacting direct cognitive process, emotional process. And I will really point out to this particular topic that, we are doing the religions versus state versus religions, secularism versus religion. And then I will point out in later lecture that how even the definition of religion and dharma are muddled with a lot of misunderstanding, confusion, and what you call the fraud, if I can use that term. And I will give you the quotations even from some of the best decision taken up in this regard by the Supreme Court justices, that how they have understood the Indian Dharmic tradition, Bharati Dharmic tradition, with respect to religions of the Western world. How they are trying to figure it out, and what is really missing. So these are some of the very fundamental questions. These are the very fundamental, what we call the confusion and conflicts, and full of deep, dark ignorance, I tell you. Yeah. And you raised the right question. Unless we change that kind of discourse, unless we change that kind of terminology, unless we change those kind of improper, incorrect linguistic terms to define and discuss the various ideas originated and still living within Bharat, I don't have very much hope of a kind of real renaissance in Indian tradition.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
जी सोमनाथ जी.
नमस्ते शिव जी, मैं फिर से आ गया हूँ. What you're describing actually comes down, in my view, personally speaking, it is Shatrubodh 101. If you don't understand Shatrubodh 101, no amount of dharma can save you, because dharma is not a guarantee of invincibility or invulnerability. It is personal charitra and achar, but that doesn't mean somebody cannot put an end to your sharir. So please understand, this is about survival. Where the civilization goes is about success, but to succeed you have to survive.
And I tell you, I fully agree with you. If you go out and talk to the high schoolers, those who are in college, the new generation, listen to their dialogues and talks among themselves not on the high ground issues, but normal, how they understand the life, how they understand the society, how they can understand the process involved in going up or down. You will come to know, my goodness, there's a breach of communication, wall of communication between older generation and new generation. If we are willing to intercommunicate effectively, thoughtfully, to make positive changes in both the parties, to go forward.
What is happening is a gap has opened.
Yeah.
Now something is going to fill that gap, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Now, whether we through our effort are even, forget about answering questions, are we even addressing the gap?
Addressing the gap, yes.
That is where the Shatrubodh part comes in, because guess what? We all have houses, gardens. If you don't grow flowers, the weeds will come in. You know who is going to come in. People with the easy answer. And the easy answer is, there is only one God and there is only one line. So forget all the complexity, just worship this and you'll find heaven. You know that's the false answer. It's the wrong answer, but it's a simple answer. So sometimes they get desperate in this gap which is opening, and they fall for these, these saperes jo been bajate hain and who are coming along with these. There's no shortage of them selling the answer that, hey.
Yeah.
So it is also a business challenge in terms of marketing, because sometimes we are so hard to market.
I agree. A challenge at every level of human action.
But that is a fun problem to have, because this is a live problem.
Yeah.
But you're right. If the battle begins, the battle is every day, and the battle has to be refought every day. It is not like I won it once in 1947. No. So now I'm independent and nobody can take my freedom away. Every day our freedom gets taken away from us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Pranam.
it. Salam.
Ji, since there are no questions now, so we can end today's session.
We can end the session.
Ji, ji.
And please let the others know that next session is going to be when?
2 weeks from today.
What the date is?
1 मिनट देखता हूँ. आज है 12 तारीख 26.
26th. So please come back on 26th at the same time and with the same Zoom ID.
धन्यवाद सर जी.
And
धन्यवाद.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I bow down to all of you for your distinguished